Hi everyone, my name is Ayelet Weizman. I'm a space educator at Kibbutzim College of Education in Israel, and my talk is about a new space education. The new space era provides many opportunities for widening the meaning of astronomy education. It's based on innovative technology. It leads to new space-related professions. It widens the number and variety of people and topics involved in space. And also, it gives more people opportunity to engage. It is less difficult to participate, and it's not only for a few geniuses who know science and computers, etc. But space is still as exciting and has new adventures as before. I decided the term space education instead of astronomy education, and I will explain. New space involves new technology, new elements of uncertainty, and very quick changes in technology. All these changes require new competencies and new skills to teach to our students. And therefore, we needed to include these new skills and competencies in the curriculum. For example, computational thinking is a topic that most of the Western countries include in their new curriculums. Computational thinking means problem solving like a computer scientist. It is a method of solving problems that leads to using algorithms and sometimes using computers, using programs, and even robots. Students also need digital literacy, critical thinking, collaboration, and teamwork, and the knowledge is no longer specific. It should be interdisciplinary knowledge. Therefore, there should be a new paradigm for teaching space topics. Previously, astronomy educators focused on science concepts and on expert teachers that will teach them. This led to a small number of educators who can teach a small number of students. But in the new space era, there are specialists from many areas who can relate to space as a context. And as there are as well many teachers who can involve in teaching space. A new approach is needed. The knowledge should be interdisciplinary and include skills. And as a result, all teachers can be part of it. And we can increase the number and variety of students interested in space by broadening the background required for space educators. The main message is that space is related to everyone and anyone can be part of it. This is the main message that we give our students at Kibbutzim College of Education. These are the students that engaged in this track called Innovation, Space, and Robots. The rationale for the new curriculum, as I see it, should focus on technology aspects. Since technology is relevant to all disciplines and all grade levels, and space and technology are intertwined, then it is possible to design a curriculum that includes space and technology as a spiral cross-curricular topic. I will show you some examples from my students' products And these students come from many different disciplines, and they teach various grade levels, both in primary school and in middle school, and some of them even in high school. So here are some examples from the website, our website. So this is a website in Hebrew, so it is, you cannot understand, but you can see, and you can see how it was developed. The teacher who developed it is an elementary school teacher, and she developed a website for students who start learning reading. So they study reading in space context. You can see that it includes very big letters, small words, and lots of engagement in digital games and photos, animation, etc. Another example is a student that developed, two students developed a project with robots for fifth grade students who study about the solar system. These students were engaged in programming. They studied a very simple language, blocking language for the Timur robot, and they could design the orbits of the planets in the solar system using these robots. And this way, they studied both about space and about programming. Another program is from a project for gifted students in fifth grade. It could be also provided to middle school students who are not gifted. And in this project, they used the EV3 robot, the Lego robot, to study the surface of Earth and other planets. In this game, they have different, they study about the surface of Mars through using this robot. I will continue to middle school projects. In these projects, students who are teachers were engaged in a process of analog space inquiry. We used the pedagogy of modeling. We were teaching the teachers the same way that we want them to teach their own students. The teachers engaged in the inquiry, analog space inquiry process, and then they taught their own students in the same way. They chose from three topics, three aspects: the aspect of the environmental, the human aspects, and technology aspects. Here are some of the projects that these students did. For example, inquiry of algae growth parameters using these analogs. Other teachers worked on rock and soils inquiry with their students. Those that chose the human aspects worked on spacesuits' influence on our skills like writing. Another group focused on habitat design with their students who designed these box habitat examples. And in the technology aspects, students designed rovers for lava tubes in a long process of changing the robot until they reach the best rover for lava tubes. Another group studied climate and weather parameters. My students also did some action research, that is, a research of their own teaching, researching the units that they developed. In this research, they had some interesting findings. For example, they found that young students in second grade can understand concepts about motions in Sun-Earth-Moon system. Another conclusion was that fifth grade students' engagement and motivation in learning increased through participation in a unit based on space and robots. And my conclusion, after studying my students, was that teachers who had no background in space and very little background about computing were able to design effective units after studying computational thinking in space context. So to conclude, new space brings new challenges and opportunities that require a new approach to curriculum development. I suggest including space as a context intertwined with technology and as a cross-curricular topic. Through application of innovative pedagogical approaches in space education, we found that students, both children and adults, will develop competencies and skills to cope with future challenges. Thank you very much for listening.